Good morning, students of Hamilton Crossing. This is Miss Misztak, media specialist. I'm here with my dog Nibbles. We are sitting on the porch of her doghouse, and we wanted to invite you to read a story with us today. We are going to read aloud The Little Rabbit Who Wanted Red Wings, and this is my favorite childhood story, so I'm excited to share this with you today.
The Little Rabbit Who Wanted Red Wings. Once there was a little rabbit who did not like himself. He had soft pink ears, bright red eyes, and a short fluffy tail. He was a beautiful rabbit, but he wanted to be anything except what he was. Whenever Mr. Bushytail the gray squirrel passed by, the little rabbit would say to his mother, "Oh, I wish I had a long gray tail like Mr. Bushytail's." Whenever Mr. Porcupine passed by, the little rabbit would say to his mother, "Oh, I wish I had a back full of bristles like Mr. Porcupine's." And whenever Miss Puddle Duck passed by in her two red rubbers, the little rabbit would say to his mother, "Oh, I wish I had a pair of red rubbers like Miss Puddle Duck's." One day, Mr. Groundhog heard the little rabbit wishing. Being a very wise man, Mr. Groundhog said to the little rabbit, "Why don't you go down to the wishing pond? If you look at yourself in the water, then turn around 3 times, your wish will come true." The little rabbit trotted off through the woods until he came to a pool of green water lying in a low tree stump. That was the wishing pond. And this was always my favorite page. I loved this scene. Beside the wishing pond sat a small red bird drinking happily. As soon as the little rabbit saw him, he began to wish again. "Oh," he said to himself, "I wish I had a pair of red wings." Then he looked in the wishing pond and saw his little face. He turned around 3 times. Then something happened. The little rabbit suddenly felt as if he were cutting teeth in his shoulders. His wings were coming through. All the rest of the day, the little rabbit sat by the wishing pond, waiting joyfully while his wings grew. Just before sundown, he started home to show his mother the beautiful pair of red wings. And I like this page because you can see his wings starting to grow. They become a little longer, and then he's very happy because he has his red wings. It was dark when the little rabbit reached home. He knocked excitedly on the door. His mother opened it immediately, but just as quickly she shut it, for she certainly did not know a little rabbit with red wings. The little rabbit had no choice but to go looking for a place to spend the night. Shortly he came upon Mr. Bushytail's house. He rapped on the door and said, "Please, Mr. Bushytail, may I sleep in your house tonight?" But as soon as Mr. Bushytail saw the strange rabbit, he slammed the door shut. The little rabbit went until he came to Miss Puddle Duck's nest by the marsh. "Please, Miss Puddle Duck," he said, "may I sleep in your nest tonight?" Miss Puddle Duck poked her head out of the nest just a little. "No way, no, she said. "Go away," for she too did not know such a strange rabbit. The little rabbit went on and on until he came to Mr. Groundhog's hole. The wise Mr. Groundhog recognized him at once and let him sleep in the hole. But the hole had beech nuts spread all over it, and while that pleased Mr. Groundhog endlessly, it made the little rabbit very uncomfortable. He slept terribly. By morning, Little Rabbit was in despair. Mr. Groundhog, knowing the time was right, went to his friend. "Do you still want your red wings?" asked Mr. Groundhog. "Oh, no," said Little Rabbit. "Well then," said Mr. Groundhog, "why don't you go down to the wishing pond and wish them off again?" I like Mr. Groundhog's outfit there. The little rabbit scampered off to the wishing pond. He looked at his face in it, turned around 3 times, and then watched his red wings shrink away to nothing. Then the little rabbit went right home to his mother. She was delighted to see the little rabbit she knew and loved, and he, at last, was happy to be that rabbit. The author chooses to take the words away and leave us with a picture, to use our imaginations, This is one of my favorite childhood stories, and still is one of my favorite books today, because it's about being yourself and appreciating what you have and knowing who you are. I miss my students. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.